I'm sitting in my apartment at 2 in the morning scrolling through my phone, and I can't shake this feeling. It's not quite loneliness, not quite fear. It's something heavier. Everyone around me seems to have it figured out, or at least they're pretending they do. My Instagram feed is full of people my age landing dream jobs, traveling the world, falling in love. But here I am feeling like I'm drowning in choices I don't know how to make, surrounded by people, but feeling completely alone. And I have to ask you something. If you're 30, 40, 50, or beyond, I need to know. Does it get clearer or does it just get louder? Because right now, life feels like standing in the middle of a crowded room where everyone's shouting different advice at you. Your parents want one thing. Society expects another. Your friends are all going in different directions. And you're just trying to figure out which voice to listen to, which path won't lead you to regret. Here's what the research won't tell you in a headline. Your 20s are statistically the worst time of your life, not the best. The worst. Studies show that the late teens and 20s have the highest rates of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. We're told these are supposed to be our golden years, but the data paints a completely different picture. Loneliness levels are highest in the 20s and lowest in the 60s, with another concerning peak around the mid-40s. Think about that for a moment. The age we're told to be carefree and invincible is actually when we're most likely to feel isolated and lost. But why? What is it about being 20 that makes everything feel so impossibly hard? The answer lies in something psychologists call emerging adulthood. It's this strange liminal space between 18 and 25 where you're supposed to be figuring out who you are, but you're doing it without any of the support structures you had before. You've left your childhood home, maybe moved to a new city, and suddenly you're expected to build an entire life from scratch. Create a career, form meaningful relationships, discover your purpose, and somehow you're supposed to do all of this while the world watches, compares, and judges. In your 20s, you're focused on social information-seeking goals, trying to learn as much as you can about the world. You cast a wide net socially because you need to understand people, relationships, work environments, and how everything fits together. Every interaction is a data point. Every experience is a lesson, and that's exhausting. Here's what makes it even harder. In your 20s, it's the quantity of social interactions that matters for long-term well-being, not the quality. You need to meet people, lots of people, to figure out who you are and what you want. But quantity without depth leaves you feeling empty. You can be surrounded by acquaintances and still feel profoundly alone. So when does it change? When does life stop feeling like you're constantly treading water? The shift happens somewhere in your 30s. And it's not that life suddenly becomes easier or simpler. It's that your relationship with life fundamentally transforms. By your 30s, social information-seeking motives fade, and emotional closeness becomes more important than knowledge acquisition. You stop trying to know everyone and start investing in the people who truly matter. In your 30s, the quality of your social interactions predicts midlife well-being, not the quantity. Your social network shrinks, but it deepens. You trade breadth for intimacy, and something remarkable happens to your brain. Younger adults tend to suppress emotions using prefrontal brain regions, a strategy linked with more internal stress, while older adults use reappraisal, reframing situations to find meaning or perspective. You stop fighting your feelings and start understanding them. You develop what researchers call crystallized intelligence, your accumulated knowledge base, your wisdom. Starting in people's mid-20s, they begin experiencing fewer negative emotions, and emotional balance improves with age. It's not that you become happier, necessarily. It's that you become less angry, less anxious, less sad. The volume of life's chaos doesn't disappear, but you learn to hear the signal through the noise. One Stanford professor of psychology put it perfectly when describing what happens as people age. They can visibly see relief in older adults when they learn that the late teens and 20s are actually the worst time in life, not the best, because society keeps telling young people these should be their peak years. But here's the twist that nobody talks about. Time itself changes as you age. Life seems to speed up as you get older because of something called chunking, dividing experiences into larger categories. When you're a child, every walk in the park is filled with novel experiences that become distinct memories. As an adult, if nothing new happens, those varied sensations collapse into a single memory. Your days blur together because you've stopped seeking novelty. The irony is cruel. In your 20s, when every day feels distinct and overwhelming, you desperately want clarity. By your 60s, when you've gained that clarity, the years start flying past. So what actually improves with age? What do people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s know that you don't? They've learned to trust their own timeline. One of the most devastating beliefs young people carry is that they're behind. Behind financially, behind in achievements, behind in life. But older adults understand something profound. Every detour taught them something valuable. Every setback built character, and every delay had purpose. They stopped comparing their journey to everyone else's highlight reel. Research shows how much time you feel like you have left in life determines how you prioritize things. When your time is more limited, you focus more on emotionally meaningful things that benefit you now instead of in the future. This awareness, paradoxically, makes life richer. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. Your priorities crystallize. As people age, their focus shifts from ambition to connection, from building careers to prioritizing relationships. Material possessions take a back seat to experiences. You become more selective about how and with whom you spend your time. Not every invitation needs accepting. Not every problem needs your involvement. Not every relationship has to continue. And here's something that might surprise you. Happiness doesn't follow a straight line. Life satisfaction dips hardest around the late 40s, visible across different economies and policies before rising again. Even your expectations play a role. By the 50s, expectations shrink to fit reality, and gratitude grows where comparison used to live. The happiness curve doesn't straighten out because life gets easier. It straightens out because perspective shifts. You get better at letting go of slights, reading social cues, and savoring ordinary moments. But let's be honest about what this means for you right now at 20. You're in the hardest part. The statistics confirm it. Across all age decades, anxiety and lower social self-efficacy are associated with worse loneliness. And these feelings peak in young adulthood. You're navigating transitions without a roadmap, moving for education or work, establishing independence, exploring identity, all while society tells you that you should be having the time of your life. The disconnect between expectation and reality is crushing. You look at people in their 30s and 40s and wonder what they know that you don't. You wonder when the fog will lift, when the path will become clear, when you'll finally feel like you know what you're doing. Here's what they won't tell you in motivational quotes or self-help books. It doesn't suddenly get clearer. It gets different. Life doesn't stop being loud. You just learn which voices to ignore. The world doesn't become less complicated. You just get better at navigating complexity. Answers don't magically appear. You become more comfortable with questions. The shift from quantity to quality that happens in your 30s isn't just about friendships. It's about everything. You stop trying to please everyone and start honoring yourself. You stop chasing every opportunity and start choosing the right ones. You stop consuming endless information and start trusting your judgment. Your 20s are about gathering data. Your 30s are about finding patterns. And everything after that, it's about applying what you've learned with increasing confidence that you actually know what you're doing. But right now in your 20s, you're supposed to feel lost. You're supposed to question everything. The loneliness, the anxiety, the overwhelming sense that everyone else has figured it out except you. That's not a sign you're failing. That's a sign you're exactly where you need to be, as uncomfortable as that is. The 60s and 70s are the peak of life, emotionally speaking. Not because life becomes simple, but because you've accumulated decades of experience in managing complexity. Every difficult decision you're making now is teaching you something you'll need later. So to answer your question, does life get clearer or does it just get louder? Neither, and both. The noise never stops. But somewhere between your 20s and your 60s, you develop filters. The chaos remains, but you learn to find meaning in it rather than drowning in it. The questions don't disappear, but you become more comfortable holding them. The pressure to have everything figured out finally, mercifully, begins to fade. And one day, maybe when you're in your 50s or 60s, someone in their 20s will ask you the same question you're asking now. And you'll tell them what the research shows, what the data confirms, what older adults wish they'd known decades earlier. The hardest years come first. The clarity comes later. And the waiting, as brutal as it feels, is part of the process. Your 20s aren't the best years of your life. They're the foundation years. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to be confused, overwhelmed, and occasionally terrified. That discomfort you feel, it's not a bug in the system. It's the feature that drives growth. So be patient with yourself. Cast that wide net. Gather your data. Make your mistakes. Feel your loneliness. Question everything. Because somewhere on the other side of all this noise, there's a version of you who understands that every moment of confusion was necessary, every connection mattered, and every hard question eventually found its answer. Not because life got clearer, but because you got wiser. And wisdom, unlike youth, only gets better with time.